welcome everybody. I'd like to call to order the trustee of the to order the Shrewsbury Public Library Trustees meeting of April 24th. And our first act is to review the minutes from the last meeting. Everybody should have a copy of that. Okay, Meg. I have a motion to approve the minutes, or are there any kind of modifications?
So moved.
Second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we're going to move on to our financial and legislative, and you should have gotten
the
year-to-date budget.
Oh,
you're going to.
director's report.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all right.
I am so sorry. It's in the, because it has that little number 3.
Oh, yes.
Review.
It's a minor report.
Oh, but actually, and some of it's in little or font.
That's right.
But you were very busy, and so yes, by all means. Did everybody have a chance to read that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always love your reports. My favorite part of the
That's
meeting.
good.
There's so much interesting stuff going on. I was wondering, for a lot of these meetings, the meetings that we have at the library, or some of these different groups are.
Right.
Do you see the same crowds every time? Are they different? Are they?
You mean the people who are attending?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah.
very
What do we
different.
see in terms
right.
of attendance? Yeah.
You know, there's a very different group for the crew meetings versus obviously the Boy Scout meetings, or so it's a mix of people who come in the library. And what's really interesting is for those who have not been in the building before to come in for a community meeting, they get to see the facilities and they begin to learn about how busy it is and what resources they might find. So it works very well. I can say the use of the meeting rooms, the 2 spaces, split, is working out very well. We were a little nervous about that, but as you can see, we're hosting a tremendous amount of community meetings.
Right, it's very impressive.
It's great.
And I had a couple other things caught my attention. Mind in the Making grant. Could you go on and tell us a little bit about that?
I will. I'm very excited about that. That's a Library Services and Technology Act grant we applied for just recently, and that's to improve the play spaces in the children's room, to focus on a play theory called Mind in the Making, which is about creative play, helping children develop skills that help them learn in life. And we have submitted a grant application to the Board of Library Commissioners for this project that would enhance the children's play area, as well as enhance the outdoor play area. And the idea here was I'm sorry. Come on in and sit down.
Take a little break.
I think we'll take a break.
Excellent. We'll finish your report.
Okay, super. So the idea of that grant application is to improve these spaces to make when children walk into the library, they have wonderful places. I'll tell more.
Yeah,
I'm kind
okay,
of losing my train
now
of thought, which is great.
So we're going to break from our regular agenda because we have a couple of trustees who are with us for our last meeting. And both Jack and Lori are here for their final meeting with us because you didn't run for re-election, so we assume we won't see you again. And so we have some things we want to bring out. And so I'll have to start with Jack. Just so people know, Jack has been a trustee at the library for 10 years, together with, time flies, doesn't it? Together with Kevin, he's been on the personnel committee, and they've been very important for advising Ellen on the review process and goal setting. And Ellen describes Jack as a steady and stabilizing presence on our board, quietly advocating behind the scenes for the building project, the library budget, and the general needs of the library. And in recognition of everything you've done for the library, what we're doing is we're dedicating a chair that will be down in the children's corner to you. And it has your name on it. And I think you want to
Try it out. Make sure it works.
Yeah. One of you guys want to help? Your grandma's going to try out the rocket. Make sure it works. We'll help. There we go. All right. Does it work? Does it rock?
Hey guys, look this way.
Jeez.
next time you come and go downstairs, before you're outside, you can go right on there, okay? Thanks for coming, guys. Beautiful.
What is present for?
That's for Laura. And so next we're going to recognize Lori Cohen, and we can hardly say enough about Lori. And I don't think we could be in this building without her incredible efforts. She has been on the board for 12 years, chair since 2009 to 2017. So she was on 2 campaigns. We all remember, those of us who lived in Shrewsbury for a while, how hard it was to get the library funded. There were actually 3 campaigns, but she was in charge of the last 2, and she recruited Matt to help along on them. And not only did they work for the debt exclusion, but they also worked to get the $1.75 million that we needed for the citizens part of the project, and that was all really important. So, like I said, we can hardly say enough for Lori. It's not the beginning of her public service. She's worked with Public Media Connection. She's been a selectman. She's been on the Housing Authority. She has really done it all. And town meeting member for 30 years, I believe it is. And you will be greatly missed as you move out of town.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
This is for you. Something for you.
Thank you. Shall I open it?
Yes. Of course.
Look at this stage. Serving tray for Matt.
Serving tray. Josh, that's it.
I'm gonna be just a housewife now.
Well, he might be doing the service.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, be gentle. Fred.
Oh, it's a mirror.
Oh, it's a
Oh. It says, "Thank you for your extraordinary service and dedication to the Shrewsbury Public Library." Oh, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. And actually, that's the picture I like the best of the library.
Okay, and Ellen would like to say something.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to you both. When I was thinking this afternoon about the contributions you've made, I recognize that they're very different kind of skills you brought to the project and brought to the library and the community, but the common thread is that you have both made an incredible contribution to your community. One of my favorite quotes is something from Jonas Salk, the inventor of the polio vaccine, and he said, "Our greatest responsibility is to be good ancestors." And I think that it's important about being good ancestors in our family life and our family history, but it's even more important about the civic life that all of us share. And the gifts that you have given to this community are just incredible. Laurie, your incredible determination, your ability to keep pushing even when things were really difficult, the fun and hard work you put into everything has been one of the greatest joys of my career, and I thank you for sharing all that time with me. I've learned a great deal from you. And Jack, I thank you for your steadfast, quiet, thoughtful approach to service to this community, because every board takes every type of person, and your contributions were very important, especially in some of our hardest days. Your thoughtful approach to things. I hope that as you walk in the building each time and you see your names on that dedication plaque outside in the main entry, that you feel proud of that. And I'm really glad your names are there, because 50, 75, or 100 years from now, I want your names to be recognized as part of the great ancestors of our library and our community. So thank you very much for what you've given. This is really important.
And you can't leave yet.
Thank you.
And if I may, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, Jack and Patty and I go way, way, way back. And when Jack joined the library board of trustees, I was really excited about that. And Laurie would come home unhappy or perplexed or frustrated, and I would always say, "What does Jack think? What does Jack think?" And that was always important. And she said, "Well, I decided to have Jack go to that meeting because I knew I'd blow up." And he does such a good job, so we always appreciated Jack's presence. I have to give Laurie a ton of credit here because she just never quit. And,
Right.
in the first election, we booked a trip to Bermuda to celebrate our victory. And of course, there wasn't much celebration, but there was still a trip. And on about the fourth day, we're lying on the beach and at 10:30 in the morning with adult beverage, and she looks at me and says, "I can't blanking believe we lost." And I said, "I can't believe you've gone 20 minutes without saying that." And she was famous for saying, "I'm one and done. I had one election in me.
Yeah.
I'm done. They can build it," and then 2 years later, back in. So here's a little something from me to you to honor everything you've done for the town. I put it in a travel container for you. Because I know Laurie has a meeting tonight, but I'm off to the Cape. So congratulations to you. And Jack, for everything you've always done and for our friendship.
And actually, I wrote a little speech because this is, and I hope you don't mind if I read it, because I thought I'd cry if I did.
This will avoid the tears.
This is a bittersweet moment. Oh, I have to put my glasses on. As this is my last meeting as an elected official in the town of Shrewsbury. My last town meeting was last night after serving as a town meeting member for 33 years. I did not run for re-election to the library trustees because my husband Matt and I will be moving full-time to our home on Cape Cod this year to embrace retirement and a new chapter in our lives. It will be a huge change as I have lived in Shrewsbury since 1972, most of my adult life, for 46 years. And for the past 3 decades, I have served as an elected official, starting as a commissioner to the Shrewsbury Housing Authority, as a selectman for 3 terms, and now as a library trustee. It has been my honor and privilege to serve the town of Shrewsbury for all these years. I have calculated that I have attended over 1,000 meetings in these 33 years, and who knows how many hours. But my life has been enriched by working with so many dedicated men and women who have given their time and talents to ensure that we have an excellent town government and to make our town a great place to live and work. And that's what we put on the plaque outside of this room, because Matt and I gave money for the commons out here, and that's what we put on our plaque because we're both elected officials. Matt has been a town meeting member for 33 years as well. And we believe it's the people who serve in these boards that make our town great. It's been an honor to work with my fellow trustees and our director, Ellen Dolan, Ellen Dolan, for the past 12 years. Ellen is an amazing person and leader. We have an outstanding library, Ellen, because of your guidance and leadership. The future is bright, and I know I leave the library in good hands. So I know we have 2 new incoming trustees who will be wonderful. So finally, I want to thank the voters of Shrewsbury for giving me the opportunity to serve the town for all these years. Thank you.
And Ellen has these
from
gifts
all of us.
for.
Oh, wow, really? Thank
More
you.
flowers.
More flowers.
More flowers, thank you.
What if you want a flower?
A plant.
That's like a little card catalog.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you all for coming. I'm like, why are all the ladies?
I'm in the right program.
And Matt is supposed to be at the Cape. So. Okay.
I learned up.
That's a nice
Well,
surprise.
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone, for
And
coming.
with that.
The rest of it's going to
Bye. 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 Bye-bye.
See you, Matt.
He's going ahead of the rain.
Yes, he is.
We'll try to let them go quickly.
Thank you.
You want me to take that? Would you want me to take that?
So why don't you do that, because I have the car full of stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Taking them
I have a
back.
box.
They told me I could get credit if I
I
had
have
them
a
back by
box.
8 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so.
Okay, that's beautiful, Ellen.
so
Yeah,
she can
that's
take it.
nice.
Yeah.
Some cushioning and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now after that, it's all downhill, guys.
Ellen can finish what she was starting.
I'll kind of start fresh for you. So the Mind in the Making grant is a federal grant that's administered through the Board of Library Commissioners. It's a Library Services and Technology Act grant. And the idea is to enhance play spaces based on learning theory. And so we have proposed to do two things with the grant. One is to develop a play area out in the children's courtyard that would be called the construction site. And it would have a variety of toys that children can manipulate to make different buildings and bridges and all kinds of things like that. And they're they're plastic covered foam blocks that are weather resistant. They can be played with outside. There'll also be out there storage bin for this, as well as little wheelbarrows and construction hats and little tool belts and that kind of thing, and signage to kind of help brand the space. Indoors in the children's play area will be providing kind of more directed toys, and one of those is a town market theme. So a little storefront with all the kinds of foods and things that children will sell, and will play with each other, as well as parents and grandparents and those who come with little ones, to encourage interaction. We've partnered with two others to help submit this application to show community commitment. One is I went to Fontaine Brothers, the contractor who built this building, and asked if they'd consider a donation. So they have committed $800 for the outdoor space and an agreement to help with any kind of graphics work or anything like that.
Giant Legos.
That's kind of like what it is. Yeah, giant Legos. And then the indoor space and other things. You might recall that Mary Jord Allen's family, when she passed, made gifts dedicated to the library, and we've been looking for a project that they might like to dedicate the funds. So the $2,500 that was raised through that, her daughter has committed to this project, but also to help advise us on this. She has 40 years as a kindergarten teacher and Montessori experience. The grant would also involve training for staff on Mind in the Making theory, as well as the opportunity for others in the preschool community to participate in the training. It would also include programming for parents and caregivers on this idea of what interactive play, the benefits of interactive play. And so that's kind of the wrap up, and the grant is for $10,000.
That
Sounds
sounds
terrific.
very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, so fingers crossed.
Well, we won't know till August, though.
Yeah, okay.
Are there particular ages that are gonna be
It's geared
restricted?
toward, but it's geared towards 0 to 6, babies to just about 6.
Wow, kids
Yeah.
will love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds terrific. And the other thing that I thought sounded interesting was the CW Mars switch from client-based to web-based evergreen platform. I guess I thought we already were web-based, we're not?
We are web-based in the online catalog and the public aspect of
Okay.
the integrated library system called Evergreen.
Yeah.
But the staff function has been client-based all along. It connects back to a full database, stored obviously and maintained by the network, but the software itself was installed on the client. This will be all web-based, which offers some benefits for remote service and that kind of thing, and provides more streamlined updates and things like that. So this is a huge switch from the client-based to the web-based, but we're looking forward to getting it done. We have some training coming up this week for all our staff, the CW Mars staff. We asked them if they would train here, and we would be willing to invite other libraries. So we have Friday morning, all of our staff that can be available are gonna take a training.
Yeah. Do you think it's gonna be an easy transition, unlike the RMP?
Easy transition for the public. They'll
Yeah.
be very limited.
For the staff is what I'm talking about,
For
yeah.
the staff will be hard because it is a completely different interface.
Yeah.
The functionality is different. What you're trying to accomplish is the same. Checking books out, registering patrons, placing holds, those kinds of things. So it will take a little doing, but I'm not very worried. The few staff members, we've set up a station where staff can kind of test it out in a live interface, and staff have been, the few that have tried it have said that they found it pretty intuitive. So we've adjusted before to other interfaces. I think this will be an easier transition than when we went from III to Evergreen. A much easier transition, and it will be less apparent to the public.
Mhm.
they may see that things look a little slow or tense at the desk as we're adjusting, but we'll put up signage saying,
Yeah.
forgive us as we get used to a new software.
It can be challenging sometimes,
Yes.
yeah.
People adjust bit by bit.
Right. Yeah, and we have staff that have to adjust to software all the time in terms of database changes and all kinds of things, so they're pretty good at that.
Is the whole system doing it at once? Okay, so
Yes.
nobody's tested it yet.
Well, it's being tested, it's not being tested in the library community, it's tested at the site. They run a number of transactions that would reflect what happens in the library community.
Staff is always very helpful, and so is Ellen, because they even teach me how to use the copy machine.
That's important.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, Ellen. So
So
now we're,
I'll make a motion to approve the library director's report.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimously approved. And so we'll move on to financial and legislative.
Okay. First is your year-to-date report. We're about 73% through the fiscal year. We're in a good place. The only account that I've spoken about in the past that we're still concerned about is the library materials budget. We are really throttling down the spending in that area, but everything else is pretty on target.
I had a question, with the end of the fiscal year is not that far away.
Right.
And so the end's in sight. Now, if you have funds that aren't used in one category, are you able to re-budget them to
We're
something
not,
like materials?
not in anything other than salaries we can, and that's one of the things I'm considering is using that. But I want to be very careful because in the process of ordering library materials is constant and unpredictable. So you might place an order for $5,000 worth of items, 4,000 will come in now, maybe 200 a month later. Because of the nature of how books are released, sometimes you just won't have a steady stream. So, we set up a purchase order to capture that money at the end. But, so I am depending on using a little bit of money from the supplies account, for instance. But I want to be very careful that I don't overextend that. So,
Yeah, okay. Right, so
really
it's on track.
throttling it
Good.
down. Yeah.
All right, how about the fiscal year 2019 budget development?
Okay, you know that we have been in discussions with the town manager regarding specifically the youth services position, and the town manager released his fiscal projection, his second fiscal projection, and you have a copy of that on the Google Drive, but I also printed a few copies that are around. And the good news is that he has included, as you'll see on the very last page of his projection, he has included $17,000 to match library state aid funds for the additional full-time position for fiscal year
Oh,
fiscal
you really
year 19.
wanted that.
Right, that's that youth services position that would be shared between children's services and teen services. I think this is incredibly important and helpful to us right now, so.
You getting any more money on materials?
We did get
You
the
did get
additional
that.
5,000, that's still
Yep.
in that recommendation. So essentially, he carried through all the other recommendations that he had in his first recommendation and added the additional 17,000 for the youth position, knowing that the trustees have agreed to fund the remainder of the position.
So that's encouraging that he's being helpful to
It's
the
very
library
encouraging, yes,
as a positive.
right.
Okay, we wish them all the best with their town budget.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Not really finalized yet.
No, it has to go to town meeting, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we have the quarterly trust fund report.
I do have printed copies because I know in the large format it's hard for some folks, so if you want a printed copy, I have it here. It is.
So just thinking about trust funds, I haven't been on the board as long as some people have. When's the last trust fund that we had set up? Is that a way people still give?
I can
or-
tell you, it is the, I have to find it here, hold on. Eleanor and Joseph Donahue Fund. Actually, these are probably in
Fran, could you
chronological
pass
order if
those
you
around?
look, oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Which
Yeah, they're
way?
down at the bottom, Ellen and Joseph Donahue.
Yes,
Yep.
they're probably in
so.
chronological order. No, they're not, because, no, they're in alphabetical order. Nah, sort of. I'm not quite sure what order they are in, but that Donahue
They're in
Fund.
numerical order according to the budget
Right.
line.
Bogarty might have ended up back at the top because of some work that was done on it a while ago. But the last one was probably, I'd have to go back and look, but I would estimate about 10 years, maybe 9 years ago.
Yeah, I was just wondering if this is a way people give any these days, or if there's other way to, it's been replaced
Most of
with
the
other
gifts
means
have
of
been,
giving.
right, most of the gifts have been, memberships to the Friends of the Library, and sometimes generous memberships, some gifts to, obviously, the capital campaign, some gifts come into the foundation, but not of, this magnitude. And one of the larger gifts that did come in, that if we were not in the middle of the building project, would probably have come to a trust, was the De Flamera estate gift, which was used to name the local history room. But if we were not in the midst of that
Right,
project, I
right.
think that would have ended up as a trust fund for the future.
Okay.
I think these are all signed, Governor Upton.
All right, so I don't think we need to do anything with that. Next is personnel, and there's a lot of openings right now.
Openings, yeah, so I'm gonna start with, the bottom one, and that's, you may have seen the announcement, but, we have heard from our young adult librarian, Dan Barber, that he is leaving to take a position at the Westboro Public Library as head of circulations. We will miss Dan. He brought incredible enthusiasm to teen programming, really creative kind of programming and projects that engage teens, engage parents as well, you know, very successfully. So it will be a difficult thing to move forward without him, but we really wish him the best. We think this is a great opportunity for him.
We're training an awful lot of people.
When is his last?
His last day is 5/1. Actually, official is May 4th, but official day on the job is May 1.
Gonna miss his enthusiasm.
Right. Right. So, in terms of the other positions that you already know about, the head of children's services, we are in the midst of the hiring process. Lisa serves on that interview committee with us, and we conducted our first set of interviews. And I would say we came out pretty happy with our first set.
Some strong candidates.
Oh,
Yes,
that's good.
yeah,
That's
some
good,
different skills
encouraging.
and, yeah,
It will
I
be a tough decision.
yes, it'll be that's a good problem to have, as we have a very hard decision to make on it. We do have our second interviews for that coming up on Monday, the 30th, and one of the items we'll be asking them to do is kind of a presentation or a project proposal, and we'll be involving staff in that, so staff will get to interact and you know, get to know them a bit, so that will be helpful. And then obviously we'll go through the reference stage, and then the committee will be making a final decision. We hope to have someone hired in May sometime. Definitely to gear up for summer reading would be really helpful. So for now, Priya and I are managing that department with tremendous work of the staff who are in the children's room. They're all really doing a lot of work to keep it going, so I'm very grateful. And then for the technology specialist, we had our first set of interviews, and we have 2 candidates coming back in for second interviews, different days, early in May. And we'll also with them, with those 2 candidates, be doing some kind of trial runs of technology problems. Our electronic resource librarian has kind of created 2 problems that we can have them work through, just to get a sense of the skills and how they approach a problem, making sure that they understand that kind of thing. So, but both look like real possibilities. So, so
3 people all at once in this,
I
in
know.
this
Full-time
full-time
positions.
and all at once net.
it is a
Period.
tremendous challenge right now. There are some things that I have set aside, and other staff, I've told them to set aside, that we just cannot do until we fill these positions. One thing is, I was hoping to have the strategic plan before you, the final strategic plan to vote on before you, but that's gonna have to wait until we get these positions. And then, you know, we may be looking at how we manage some of our kind of standard programs, our summer reading kickoff. We might modify that a little and bring in more outside kind of performances and that kind of thing. So we're assessing what we can manage, and deciding at times there are some things we're going to slow down on a little bit, but we'll pick it back up when we get our full force.
And that's why
in
you
place.
didn't bring brownies for all of us
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, that's right. Sorry. Yep. So, so having this kind of shift is very hard in many ways, but it also brings great opportunity. You know, having a chance to bring in new ideas and a new approach to things. That's what we're talking about in the departments, that we should take that opportunity and benefit from it, so.
Well, it's exciting, actually.
Yes.
You have new people,
Yeah.
Yes.
could be new skill sets.
So for the teen librarian, I'll be starting the advertisements on that probably in a couple of weeks. Decided I'm gonna get through these two before we,
Sorry to leave
move
Dan,
forward.
he's been such a delight.
Yes, yeah.
It's just terrific.
Do most libraries have a teen librarian?
Most libraries have either a teen librarian or a youth services librarian who has a partial responsibility for teens.
Yeah, I just was wondering.
Right, sometimes it comes out of the children's department that they have responsibility, or sometimes there's like in our case, it's out of our adult services team.
And sometimes they wear more than one hat.
That's right.
They're the teen librarian, but they're also,
Like
you
our,
know,
like
like the assistant director.
right,
or-
ours is teen librarian and volunteer coordinator.
Right.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Cross our fingers on that one too. All right, so next is programs and services. You have a request from the town planner on the master plan implementation.
I'm really happy to see this. As you know, I served on the town's master plan committee and was really enriched by the experience of being involved with that committee, and felt that the document and the work they produced was very helpful. When we started up our strategic plan, we made sure that our goals were aligned to the strategic plan, which is really helpful in terms of grant writing and things like that. Just recently, the town planner, Bernard Cahill, sent a communication to me about the implementation committees, the master plan implementation committees' request for information on how the departments are kind of reaching out towards some of the goals that are identified. I was hoping to type something up for you in advance for the meeting, but I didn't get to it. I just have my handwritten notes on it. What you do have is the specific goals that were identified as things that the library would be involved with. And if you don't mind, I'd like to review a few of those, because I think it's important for the board to understand what the community has identified as what they're looking at from the library. The first one was to explore the possibility of a business association for the town center. And I'm really happy to tell you that we just hosted the first meeting that was held of a kind of a nascent town center building association, Town Center Business Association Committee. Maribeth Lynch of Thrive Realty and Town Planning Department pulled this together with businesses from the town center, and it was held on early morning on April 5th. And it was very interesting, and the idea is really to kind of think cohesively about the development of the town center and giving kind of a cohesive thinking about the town center with activities and signage and all kinds of grants that might help develop the town center in a way that the community would like to see. So we were happy to participate, so I'll be reporting that we've done that.
And they're going to decommission Beale School, and so
That's right. There's a lot of different opportunity going on.
Yeah.
That was something the planning staff talked about, was some development of Main Street from 290 up to the town center, more walkable, making sure sidewalks and curb cuts and smart design elements are in. Right, parking related to Beale and all that. Some work that's going down on Church Street, which includes the crosswalk from Church Street over to the library parking lot, which is something we've been talking about for a long time, that our project put the curb cut in. Other things like that. So there's a lot of things percolating, and I'm really happy that the library has been invited to be involved.
Because I think they want to do something at the center where the monument is,
Yeah.
because they asked me about planting in front of it.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of good
Yes.
things going on, and
Yeah.
it's really to just kind of pull people together to think cohesively. Another thing they've asked us to do is build capacity of support organizations to provide enhancement fund for municipal services and programs as appropriate. That among the various departments of the town that have been included in that are the library, the schools, HDC, that kind of thing. So for our response, I'll be writing that our Friends of the Library continues to be a key partner in providing funds to enhance services. They provide about $25,000 a year for the library programming. The Shrewsbury Public Library Foundation is in the beginning stages of building an endowment. They're just starting that work. for long-term needs, more the kind of long-term horizon. And then another goal is related to developing an annual community event with local businesses. We have not made progress on that as we don't have staffing to pull that off, so to speak. But I'm hopeful that that will be developed as part of the Town Center Association and based more on community volunteers and that kind of thing.
It kind of sounded like the Memorial Day parade.
Yeah, right. Well, we do, I didn't think of that, but we also do participate in the Veterans Day reception. So that's a nice way. Another area that I identified, so one was to increase awareness of historic properties and structures. We don't have a concerted initiative coming out of the library, but we do respond to requests for information on historic properties. One was to support efforts to preserve and digitize historic artifacts and documents. We haven't done any of that recently, however, we are looking at possibility of our genealogy club under the directorship of George Brown, our former assistant director, working on digitization of the tornado photographs from 1938, 7?
Oh, 53.
53. I'm thinking of different ones.
38 was a really bad hurricane.
That's what I'm
38
thinking of,
was
the
a bad
hurricane,
hurricane.
excuse me, the hurricane of 38, right, I had the wrong storm, the wrong date. So that's one thing that's through the, something called the Digital Commonwealth, so it really needs time in terms of developing the metadata for describing those images, and that's what the Genealogy Club is willing to work on. They're also suggesting that we find opportunities to link existing historic and cultural organizations with active groups. We're doing that all the time. We're doing programming that connects with other associations.
We also have the new little sign that says you're entering the historic
yes,
district.
That's right. I'll have to add that to there. And then finally, building capacity of local organizations. I just referred back to what I mentioned earlier about the Friends of the Library, the kind of grant work we do, and the Library Foundation. So I will be responding, and I think that we've shown good progress, but I guess the major message is I'm really glad that we're being asked to contribute and being considered as part of that.
Ellen, has the historical group worked with you at all?
Yes.
They are. They work.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The Historical Society.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, they've done a program here.
Right, I
Donated
did
some
hear,
books. Yep. We're happy to work together.
Before we tear down any more buildings, it would be nice.
So I will be preparing a document. I may be sending that out before the next meeting because I think they need a response sooner. But I just wanted to inform you of what that looks like.
Okay, thank you. And I guess the next thing is permissions from authors to sell their books at the June 22nd Summer Reading Club kickoff.
Yes, so I don't have a specific list of authors yet, but I'm just asking for a blanket permission. We always have a panel of authors who highlight their books, talk to people who stop by, and it's great.
Do they
chance to
contact you
celebrate,
in
right?
general, or how do you find them?
The first year we would reach out to different people, but now it's building itself so that people hear about it and ask to be
And these are mostly, these are Shrewsbury authors.
Shrewsbury and kind of local.
Surrounding local as well.
Central
I wasn't sure.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know whether there were any
And
restrictions. or-
different ages. Yeah, which is kind of fun. Yeah.
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 All right. Next
So,
thing is.
do you need a motion for that?
That I do, because
Yeah.
that's something,
Oh,
yes,
That's
thank
right.
you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Nancy.
Move we approve.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything with policy?
Nothing.
Okay. The foundation?
So the foundation met, is it yesterday?
Yesterday. It was yesterday.
The foundation met yesterday and voted in new officers for the foundation, and our new chair is Nancy Gilbert. Our new treasurer is Jason Port, and our new secretary is Claire Nagel. They'll be working on a number of initiatives related to development of the website. They have created a wonderful logo for the foundation. I wish I brought it with me to show you. It's very nice. Christina Luther,
Oh,
who,
she's
as many of you
delightful.
will know,
Yeah, she's
developed, you know, Laurie, the work she did for the
Right.
coin drive.
Construction,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
She took photographs of
Coins for
houses for me.
construction.
Yeah,
It's
so
very
she developed a
creative.
great logo that could be used as a banner on a website, on letterhead and that kind of thing. And so we've developed special thanks to Claire Nagel of our board, who's worked with me to develop a lot of the content for the website. And we'll be handing that off to the consultant they're using and getting that going. This is the kind of thing that's slowed down a little bit right now, but we will get to it. So that's all good.
Okay, and then the recent book sale, it seems to have been quite a success.
Do you want to jump in on that, Dean? Shall I?
The Friends made about almost $6,800 in the book sale, but it was seemed to be very well received with the patrons and other guests.
Yeah.
The,
Sold a tremendous amount of books.
Yes.
They did some pricing changes, which might have reduced their revenue a little bit.
Right.
But it simplified the whole process.
Made it
and they
easier
felt
for
it
the
was worth it.
cashiers.
Right, and made, we sold a tremendous amount of books, which was great. And we have to thank Dean for still contributing a great deal, even though he's no longer co-chair. And we thank our co-chairs, Claire Nagel and
Right.
Patricia Segerson. You know how much work it is. For months, every month of the year, they're working on the preparation.
It's
What
ongoing.
did you do with the remainder of the books? I've forgotten.
They went to a company called Big Hearted
I
Books.
couldn't remember
And
last year.
we specifically asked, there's so many comments made about what happens to these books, anything from fuel at a dairy farm to being shipped to third world countries. But the driver assured us that he takes his truck directly to a plant in, it's either Canton or Sharon, I'm not sure which. And they're sorted and, by genre and so on, and either sold or given to various organizations. So it was nice to know that they weren't just disposed of.
Because the quality of some of them look like brand new.
They-
were
yeah,
really
some of them were.
Very good condition.
Incredible quality this year.
Yeah,
It was very
yeah,
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did take some of the children's and some of the DVDs that were left and circulated those into our ongoing sale.
Yeah.
Which is, the ongoing sale is still very successful too, brings in a
Of
great deal
course,
of money for
all
the
the way,
friends.
all the way through the year, as the donations come in, Pat Haglund, in charge of tech services, goes through as much of that material as she can and actually pulls it out, and we circulate it here in the library. So
If it's something we
If it's something
can
we need,
use.
right,
Right.
we
If we
take
have
that
an old,
first.
if we have an old copy of something that's getting kind of ratty.
Yeah, or if
we
we have
get
a
it.
long hold list on something.
Exactly, yeah. So overall, I think the sale was a
Tremendous
success.
success.
I wasn't as enthused with the amount of money that the booksellers bought, but that seems to be cyclical. So
Right.
maybe next year they'll come back with a more open checkbook. But they did well, but yeah.
What did you charge the booksellers this
Same.
time?
Nothing.
What it was, I couldn't remember.
Nothing.
The same as.
The same
yeah,
as regular, there was
yeah.
no change, and they
Yeah.
didn't buy as many, is that what you're saying?
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, people still read though.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
have, I have a pile in my corner of my bedroom, just move it.
It's a nice community event too, it's great to see,
Yes.
all and the volunteers who
Volunteers.
come every year, it's a nice tradition.
Yeah, it was
it's
fun, yeah. But Big Hearted Books is the same to people that run the bin by the senior center.
Correct.
And they've got
yeah.
another one over, I think, by Staples.
Yeah, you used to see the bins that said "Got Books."
Yeah,
Big Hearted Books bought them,
okay.
so it's, as far as I know, it's all one organization
yeah.
now.
Yeah. Want your books to keep on working.
Mhm.
Okay, next, so we have the fiscal year 19 service calendar draft.
And this is just so that we can advertise the holiday closings, ahead of time for the coming year. Truthfully, I haven't even looked at this. I asked our department managers to do this for me, so I'm just looking at it now.
I've been a little busy.
But the one we always look at is the Christmas, and I think they hit it right on that, because usually the selectmen close the Friday before, but you wouldn't want to be closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I think they've just, that's the correct approach, what they're recommending, which is just the Tuesday for Christmas Day.
They wouldn't close on Monday?
Well, that's,
Probably at noon on
I would
Monday.
think an
You wanna
early
do a
closing or
noon on
something.
Monday?
I would
Well, we
think so.
follow the lead of the selectmen.
I was gonna say, would it be
Well,
up to the manager?
so we have the challenge because the selectmen close on Friday. We're open all day Saturday.
Have they already
We're
determined?
open we would be closed the Sunday. They have not determined it, but they never do until late in the season, right before. But it's happened every year, so, I guess the question becomes.
Suppose at noon on Monday, I would think.
I think that's a nice approach because it does get extremely quiet.
Right.
Mhm.
And Monday would normally open till 9, so 9 o'clock.
Right.
Noon time would be a great
Mhm.
Yeah.
help.
Then people can catch up on things before the holiday.
That's right. I think that would be,
We
you know,
have a
our
small
staff has
staff.
worked tremendously hard in this
Right.
building, and
Right.
those small kinds of considerations I think are reasonable, especially since it tends to be that quieter time.
Right.
Do that.
Okay, well, that is our last formal agenda item. Does anybody have any other
Do you need a
business?
motion?
Yes,
on that?
I want one thing to
Oh,
say.
are we ready to
Yeah.
move it yet?
We
or-
have to
Wait.
make a motion to amend.
Oh,
Move
okay.
it
I wasn't
to
sure we were
amend this.
ready
Yeah.
to do it yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
if you
I
think
just-
we are, we can do it.
If there's anything else on that, just wanna look
On
at July
dates.
4th.
yeah, I was just
Yeah.
looking at July 4th too.
Close Wednesday,
Maybe
July
if Ella's
4th.
just getting her first glimpse at this, maybe we should hold it off to next meeting is what I was thinking.
What?
If this is her first chance to really look at it and think about it, maybe
Oh, yeah, you
we
could
might
hold it
wait till the next meeting to
meeting.
approve it, yeah.
I just wanted to tell everybody that Ellen sat through the town meeting last night, all that 2.5 hours, and she really didn't have to be there, but I just thought we ought to thank her
Yes,
for attending,
absolutely.
attending
Well,
all the town
I was wondering why
meetings.
you were going.
Right.
Department heads.
Department heads.
Right, it's a way if a
It's
question ever comes up.
visibility, yeah.
Yes.
If a question ever comes up, you're there to represent your department, but it was fascinating, Leslie.
Yes.
Yeah, why should she be left out of the fun?
Yeah.
Right.
If you ever go to a bookstore, go to the plant section, learning about gardening, guess what plant they're all interested in?
Yeah. Yeah, I can guess.
It's really true. I was like, oh my goodness, I really wasn't interested in that one, but everybody else was.
So do you wanna hold this over
Well,
till the
would
next
That'd be
meeting?
better so you
Just
have
so you have a
chance
chance
to
to
find
look
out
at
what's
it,
going
but-
on.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I trust my
right.
my
Will
department
that
heads,
hurt
but,
in any way?
I'm just looking at, let's see.
We'll bring up the
I'm
Monday issue with them and what have you.
Yeah, let me look it over with them and
Yeah,
that would
we'll
help.
talk about
There's
it
nothing
Monday.
here that's gonna really influence, anything we're doing right
Check
now.
your
For
dates,
now,
Ellen.
sure.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so double check my dates.
Yes.
Okay, hold till next week.
Does this have to be approved by the Board of Selectmen and the town manager?
No,
This is
is-
strictly
it's
like.
just-
Trustee policy,
We'll
yeah.
try to
Okay.
sync it with them a little bit.
Yeah, we try to
so,
think
yeah.
about it. Right.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
any other business? So could I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
For the last time, Laurie.
For the last
Yes,
time.
watch the
That's
Celtics.
Oh,
Oh, you guys are gonna be missed.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed.
Indeed.
Thank you.